transcendently bad anime. Anime that is so incomprehensibly terrible that it actually transcends the very season or even year that it actually released. Like, we're not talking about your regular run-of-the-mill garbage like Isekai Smartphone or Master of Ragnarok. We're going even lower than that to some of the worst anime that has ever graced our eyes. And today we're going to be exploring one of the more lighter titles, touted as one of the worst animes ever released by probably one of your favorite creators, that explores a story so grotesque and confusing that you might actually need a textbook and a 1-hour explanation video on YouTube to actually figure out what's going on. Of course, I'm talking about everyone's favorite sibling love anime, Pupa. Before we start this video, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. It would be a massive help in our goal in reaching 1K subscribers really soon, actually, since we're like 50 subs off. Much love if you're already subscribed, and we're gonna get back right into our scheduled programming. Now, Pupa is a psychological horror anime released by Studio Deen back in winter 2014, which adapted a manga of the same name written by Mogi Sayaka. Now, the very first time I actually heard of this anime is actually through a content creator you're probably very familiar with, seeing how he's one of the biggest creators in AniTube, named TheAnimeMan, in which he sort of said in passing, alongside a whole review video, that Pupa is one of the worst anime he's ever watched. And ever since I got the potential whiff of garbage in the atmosphere, and actually learning about what this abomination is about, let's just say, I never looked back. Incestuous cannibalism. The anime. A phrase that actually surprisingly best describes this show, and also elicits a physical reaction of disgust for everyone that has ever had the displeasure of watching this thing. Pupa is a story about Utsutsu and Yume Hasegawa, a brother and sister duo left abandoned by their evil and cruel father. Forced to fend for themselves, the duo tried to live a relatively peaceful school life. However, their lives of normalcy are rather short-lived, as his sister Yume suddenly contracts a mysterious illness called Pupa, which causes her to morph into a flesh-eating abomination. After quite literally being eaten alive after discovering his sister, Utsutsu discovers he is also partially infected with this mysterious disease, allowing for him to gain extremely potent regenerative abilities. Having resolved himself in protecting his sister, he decides to sacrifice his own body for sustenance, all while slowly unraveling the horrific mysteries surrounding the Pupa virus. Now, obviously, conceptually, this anime isn't for everyone to digest, seeing how some extreme subjects such as gore and vor is explored in this anime. Smash like for the human consumption joke and the bars, by the way. But after watching these grueling 12 episodes, 48 minutes, these are the least of the issues. Now, as you heard me earlier, Pupa is a 12-episode show with a 4-minute runtime for each episode. Now, when you exclude 1 minute from each episode for the intro and outro, you get a 3-minute window for the bulk of your content. Now, considering that Pupa is a 32-chapter-long manga with 5 volumes, and apparently is a suspense and mystery-driven story, it is actually beyond me that Studio Deen looked at this and said, fuck it, 3 minutes is enough. Watching this anime with a fairly open mind and that one watch through I had a year ago for information, I can say with a fairly high level of certainty that anything past episode 4, I was completely fucking lost. Now, of course, between episode 1 and 4, it's pretty understandable seeing how it's damn near the synopsis of the show. Now, moving outside of the first 4 episodes where, you know, they actually try to expand on the story, try with massive quotation marks, you might actually get an aneurysm trying to understand anything that is going on in the story. You know, like your typical things in introducing major characters, entire organizations, and even major events with damn near zero context. Just like how I randomly switched this hat midway through the video. Now, just to give a few examples in the show to just sort of illustrate what I'm talking about. For one, the reason why these kids got infected with the Pupa virus is so vague and barely understandable. Now, in episode 1, I'm sort of led to believe that Yume contracts the virus externally from a dog that you've met at the park or something, and you know, maybe Utsutsu gets the virus midway through getting, you know, eaten alive by his sister. But in episode 5, the show sort of hints at the fact that Yume might have been born with this virus, seeing how she displays some unusual behaviors, which then makes you wonder how both of the siblings had no idea they had this sort of virus for this long. Secondly, the show introduces an entire illegal experimentation organization that plays a major plot point in the show, all the way in episode 8 with zero context. The show also introduces seemingly major characters such as the black-haired virus-obsessed lady, and then just barely fleshes them out in the show. Like, the only idea I have of her motivations is the fact that in episode 7, it mentions that she kind of just does things out of curiosity, and that is literally it. As a matter of fact, in episode 7, it's revealed that the woman becomes the surrogate mother of a child made through the DNA of the Pupa kids, and apparently she's also keeping one of those Pupa abominations underground in a cage. Context. Who needs context when you're trying to keep that mysterious aura? You're not mysterious. You're just a loser. Did I mention that the episodes are only 4 fucking minutes long? Now, outside of the fact that the Pupa story is literally held together with nut rags, some of the decisions of the studio are also incredibly questionable. Now, for a story that describes itself as a mystery, suspense, drama, which requires a lot of work to actually, you know, make that happen, the studio opts to sort of just ignore this and focus more on the brotherly and sisterly love aspect of the show. I guess they enjoyed this one little aspect of the story so much that they dedicated an entire episode, the infamous episode 6, on this one thing. I guess this is sort of fan service for some freaky ass people, and maybe, you know, I guess it's a big aspect of the show, but the bills cannot be that high, bro. I also don't understand the inclusion of episode 12 or the concept of episode 12 as a whole. The entire episode is about how Yume got her hairpin from her brother, and quite frankly, who fucking cares? I'm still trying to figure out 90% of the story, and you're throwing me a slice of life episode. And if you're trying to reinforce the idea of their strong bond as brother and sister, I think I already got the point by now. And finally, probably their weirdest and funniest decision in the anime, the inexplicably terrible censorship decisions. You know, in one scene, they can have a light beam censoring a knife in someone's hand, and then the next scene, there's straight up organs on the table and Elfenlied level gore. Did I also mention that every episode is 4 fucking minutes long? Now, the anime is not all bad. There are some very small bright points in the show. I personally really enjoyed the art and how it takes a painting-esque look reminiscent of something you would expect from a kid's picture book. Thematically, it makes sense, it's visually pleasing to look at, and personally, I don't think it looks too outdated despite the fact that it is 10 years old. Yes, you heard me right. 2014 was 10 years ago. I also really liked the music score, not because it really added anything to the show, but more so the fact that it sounded nice, and the voice acting was pretty good. And no, I'm not talking about the voice acting during the freaky parts. All in all, I think it's pretty clear that Pupa is definitely a terrible anime, combining an already controversial and absurd storyline with some very questionable to downright terrible decisions. Now, of course, this is just my opinion, and if you do for some reason enjoy this show, I know what type of person you are. And as always, I always implore you to go and watch the show yourself to make your own opinions, or if you just want to have the experience of watching one of the worst or controversial animes of all time. Fair enough. Now, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and help us on our road to 1K subscribers. I appreciate everyone that's still tapped into the channel. I hope to post more and more consistently, and yeah, thanks for watching. Peace. And before I forget, each Pupa episode is only 4 minutes long.